Hi there, Karen Doyle Buckwalter from Chaddock with another tip from raising the challenging child. So what I want to talk about today is the idea that we state in the book it's okay to revisit an earlier stage, and by that we mean an earlier stage of development. So let me just share quickly what I mean by that. A lot of times parents will say in response to something their child is needing, they're too old for that. They shouldn't need that anymore. Oh, you need to be a big kid. You don't need that anymore. And so what we want to talk about and think about in this tip is sometimes a child does need that. So let me give you a couple quick examples. For example, reading a child a bedtime story. That is something that you think of doing with a really younger child, and every once in a while, an older child might enjoy being tucked in at night and hearing a bedtime story. And you would be surprised if you go about something like that, very matter of fact, and not act uncomfortable about it yourself. Hey, I think it might be fun tonight if I read you the story Where the Wild Things Are, for example. And you just say it like that, and you don't say it with uneasiness or I'm afraid you're going to think this is really strange. If you just say it in that matter-of-fact way, you would be surprised how many kids will really just sit back and enjoy that. Or maybe it's an older child that would benefit from you rubbing their head or rubbing their back like you used to when they were a younger child. Recently in attachment science, the work of James Cone, who was recently on my podcast, he's talked about how regulating of our emotions, holding hands with someone can be, even if it's a stranger. And this is something that I have noticed a lot with kids that I work with over the years when parents think, oh, they're too old to hold their hand. They're not going to want to do that. They really like having their hand held, especially if there aren't people around, peers, or someone that's going to see it. In fact, one story we had where a child was going to be staying at Chaddock in our residential treatment program, and as she was watching her parents drive away in terms of dropping her off at Chaddock, which is a very painful, difficult day for everybody, parents, children, everyone, making that decision. Later, when we processed that and talked about that, she said, I knew it was going to be okay because a staff member held her hand. I won't say the name of the person, but so-and-so held her hand, so she knew it was going to be okay. So just remember, it's okay to visit an earlier stage of development. Even when your child is older, they might need some of the caregiving that you think of giving a younger child or that you gave them when they were younger. Something to consider.